Dan, welcome back to the Retail Horror Podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
I love it. It's been almost 2 years because I think you were one of my first guests when we first started.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I can believe that.
3 years, that's way too long. We have to change that for going forward.
Why don't you reintroduce yourself to our audience and give everyone a little bit of background on you?
Sure. So my name is Dan Jablons, and my company is called Retail Smart Guys. And we work with independent retailers in 18 countries today. Wow. And our job is to help them plan their sales. So whatever the store is, let's say it's a clothing store, just for simplicity for the moment. We help them plan things like, what are they going to sell in tops? What are they going to sell in jackets? What are they going to sell in denim? What are they going to sell in jewelry, et cetera? Like, all the different classes of merchandise they have. And then we give them an inventory plan that enables them to hit that sales forecast without underbuying and missing sales or overbuying and tying up cash unnecessarily, the latter being the more common problem.
Yeah.
But we work with all different kinds of retailers. Like today, I'm connected to this podcast from a pet shop that we work with that's here in San Francisco. So
I can see the doghouse sticker in the background.
Yeah, there's lots of, and so what's fun is like, I'm here on the floor with them, and then every customer that comes in has a dog or a cat with them or something like that. So, I'm getting a lot of petting the pet time in.
Not a bad way to
Not a bad way this one today. So,
and you also are a character actor.
I am a character actor. So I'm probably best known as Larry David's lawyer on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
How long are you doing that? I meant to ask you in the last podcast.
Oh, God. More years than I want to admit to.
Is this something that you started doing younger and continued, or is this something you started to do your second half?
No, I actually, a lot of people in that profession, they kind of get the bug like when they're really, really young, like when they're like, a teenager or something like that. And then they kind of get in. It didn't happen for me until actually after college. I actually took an improv class and fell in love with it. And then I've just sort of, everything I do now is an improv, like, the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing was totally improvised. I've done a bunch of TV commercials, and those are typically improvised, except when you're talking about the product, I did a film a couple of years ago with Adam Devine and Pierce Brosnan and Ellen Barkin and Nina Dobrev called The Outlaws. That's still on Netflix and stuff like that. So, and when I'm not talking to retailers, I get to do that, which is kind of fun. So people kind of go like they think they know me, and they kind of go like, do you work at my dry cleaner? Is that how I know you? Like, they don't know how they know me, that kind of thing.
I was scrolling your Facebook the other day and looking at like all the pictures of you and Danny DeVito, who I absolutely love. When I had my stores at Fred Siegel, Danny and his then wife, Rhea, would shop in the store often. And it was like such a joy because he's literally the nicest person on earth.
Nicest guy ever. So, and just very quickly about that. So, yeah, I got to do a commercial with Danny. For Jersey Mike's. I think he's done a lot with them now. So I go there and I do I'm getting ready to go on. They go, okay, just go sit over there. And next thing you know, I'm sitting like right next to him. Like there I am. So I'm talking with Danny, like we're old pals. I'm talking about New Jersey and whatever. Then he gets up to do his scene. I'm still sitting down. And me sitting down, I was still taller than he was.
Yeah, he was never able to buy anything in our store because it was all too big for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. But super nice guy, super funny guy, and he was the kind of guy that, like, the whole time we were on set, even though there's lots of extras and lots of people that aren't like, celebrities or the main people, he was, treated every one of them really, really nicely. He was just a cool guy. So
I do miss having my stores and seeing people like him because we were very lucky. It was, during a time where there was no cell phones and you didn't have people following people around with phones, and the paparazzi were loud inside the store. So it was a very intimate relationship we were allowed to have with some of these celebrities because they were safe and didn't have to worry about being bombarded by people. But anyway, I wanted to touch base really quick on your business is an open to buy business. Last time you were on, I had so many DMs of people saying, what is an open to buy? And like, I never did that. I don't even go by reports. And you had touched on how it helps you guys plan things out to you're not overbought and you're not underbought. What does it look like to work with someone in the retail
Okay. So let me kind of clarify something about open to buy, because I know I could put 50 retailers in a room and say, okay, here's a piece of paper, write down what you think open to buy is, and I get 50 very different results, right? The thing about open to buy is the idea of it is to first off come up with a sales forecast that you can believe in, right? Most retailers have an idea of what they have to do in terms of volume or in terms of revenue on a monthly basis or even maybe on an annual basis to keep the store going, which is fine. But then there are a lot of retailers that go like, why don't I make more money? Why aren't I more profitable? Or I have other financial goals, or gee, I wish I could afford to remodel the store, or I would like to be able to do more marketing for my website, but it's too expensive, or the Google ads are too expensive, or that, when I start to hear people talk about the inability to pay for things or pay themselves or that kind of thing, the solution to that is the open to buy. And here's the reason why. It's not just, here's a forecast, this is what you should go for. The inventory plan side of it is the key, because I'll give you this one metric that's kind of an interesting one, right? So I think everybody understands the concept of turn, but just in case, it's how many times in a year your inventory completely turns over, right? Completely changes and that sort of thing, right? If you're a store and you're doing, just so I have a reference, like $1 million a year, let's say, okay, and you're turning 2.5 times a year, right? If you're in pretty much an average markup for retail, it means on average you're holding about $240,000 of inventory. Okay, doing $1 million a year. If, however, if you improved it from a 2.5 to a 3, just a half turn, which is not a lot, okay, you would lower your inventory by $49,000, right? So I'm sorry, $41,000. So your average inventory goes from 240 to 199, and that's money that you just put in your pocket, or that's money that you can use to invest in things like, I want to remodel the store, I want to merchandise it better, I want to do more online marketing, I want to hire another person, I want to replace my point of sale, I want to or I want to go on a better vacation, I want to pay for my kids' college, I want to do any of those kinds of things. All of that comes from just turning your inventory a little bit faster, so you're not sitting on old inventory, and actually taking a moment and stepping back from the business instead of working on your business, right? And really looking at a comprehensive set of numbers that enable you to understand, where are my sales trending and where are they going? Where is my inventory? Where is that going? And how much cash can I generate out of the business as a result of all those activities? And is it enough? And if not, what do we do to make that better? So working with an open to buy person is first off, establishing the benchmarks. What do we want to do, right? And it's also establishing what can we do, and then what if we tweak this or tweak that? Retail is detail. It's a game of inches, right? The money comes from making little changes here and there, and then it's the sum of doing a lot of little things right. So having an open to buy plan enables you to sort of have a map to how to get to better profitability.
Do you help them? Because I think a lot of retailers right now are going, well, how do I make more turns? If I don't have foot traffic, or if I don't have, how do I make more turns? It's funny. I'm in the process of writing a little video commercial that I want to do, right? And the commercial is sort of like, you go to the doctor and he says, okay, well, here are your labs. And then he starts to leave. Well, wait a second. Aren't you going to tell me what these mean? No. Just read about it online, or ChatGPT will tell you what to do, that kind of thing. I'm always like, no. You need a human who can sit with you and go like, okay, this number means this, and this number could be improved if we did that, right? And talk strategically. Most retail businesses have an art and a science to them, right? The art is, that's a great color story, that's a great fabric, that's a great, or if you're in a different industry, it might different things. If you're in like right now I'm at a pet store, so it's the right protein for the dog, it's the right chopper for the food. There's all different. We work in so many different types of retail. I could extrapolate different examples, but the idea of it is like, how do I take inventory, which is my biggest asset, but it's also my biggest expense,
And how do I make sure that that expense is properly developing enough return for us so that we actually can create profit out of it? And how do we do things like look for places where our inventory is way old? We've had this inventory for forever, you know, and how do we get out of that inventory and convert that into actual real money?
We talked about it in the last time, was that I asked you how long you thought stuff you should sit with old inventory until you finally just cut it. And there's so many retailers that will hold something and they will swear that they move it around enough that it will finally sell, but they don't seem to understand that is cash. And if you
it's opportunity wasted,
just let it go and recoup your dollars for it and turn it. So at what point do you say is a good sell through? Like,
I would like to, well, okay. So let's just talk about some targets on that, because it can be different from industry to industry, right? But generally, we should not have anything in the store older than 90 days. And if we do, our customers told us what they think of those goods.
Yeah.
Right? That means looked at it, went, yeah, not for us. We always say they vote with their wallet.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they didn't, if you had it in the store and they went, yeah, not for me. Okay. You have to identify that, get it out of the store as quickly as you can, take the money that you get from getting it out of the store as quickly as you can, and invest in things that they are buying. Right? There is no such thing as a perfect buyer. So you're going to sometimes buy stuff and think, oh, this stuff is great. Right? And then your customer goes, yeah, not really. Listen, if they were perfect buyers, then I would have to do something else for a living. But since there aren't, we have to identify what that stuff is and plan how we're going to make it go away.
So one thing I try and teach my retailers, and with some retailers, it's very challenging, is like, they have had something on the floor for a long time. They're down to the last straggler and they still want to merchandise it. And I will take it off the floor and put it in the back and say, hold it till sale. And I'll come back and it's back merchandised in. My philosophy as a merchandiser is what you are doing with this single item is cheapening everything else around it. And it's like you are giving the customer, buy this beautiful new stuff that just came in or buy this shitty thing of soap that you've had for 4 years.
And also, you look like a garage salesman.
Thank you.
Okay. But here's the other thing about it that's important to know is that, and you know this better than anybody I've met, just so I can say that right away. The floor has to tell a story, right? And if I've got onesies and twosies that are left, I'm not really telling the story. The customer wants to know what they should buy. When they see displays that show a significant quantity of each of the things I want to sell, they know what you as a retailer believe in. They know what you like. They know what you want them to understand, right? And if I know what you believe in, then now I know what to buy. When I see onesies and twosies of everything, I don't know what you believe in. You haven't told me what you really think about anything. And so now I'm left to sort of figure it out on my own. And I tell this story. I may even know the last one 2 years ago. I don't remember because I'm getting old. Anyway, but here's the thing. You could take let's just take T-shirts, for example, okay? I could take every T-shirt known to mankind and put it up on a wall. And you might think at first, well, my customer would love that because they could pick from every T-shirt known to mankind. They could pick whatever they want. They have the ultimate choice. The reality is what they would do is they would walk away. And the reason they walk away is if the choice is too hard. It's too many choices, it's too many things, and stuff like that, right? But if I had, a very tight assortment of 5 or 6 T-shirts and I was narrow and deep in those 5 or 6, my customer then knows what I believe in. They know what I like. They know they know what we think they should buy. And now they know what to do.
Yep.
And so the more narrow and deep you are, the more chance you have to getting better sell-through and having a better experience for your customers.
It's funny because I, as a buyer, would like to curate stories. And I've realized as the years have gone on, the less is more in the sense of you don't need to have, even though the concepts about bees, you don't have to have the socks in there. You don't have to have the candy in there. You don't need to have it all. But the deeper and the more solid the arrangement is, or the brand, the concept is, the better it's going to look also visually. Rogers Gardens is a great representation of this. They do an amazing Christmas business, and they will have 10 items that tell the story. And in those 10 items, there's like 12 to 18 on the floor each. So it's strong, it's cohesive, and it tells a story. And they're not in like 18 different styles of things.
Well, some of that depends on space. Some of that depends on what. Some of it depends on space. Some of it depends on also what you're featuring, seasonality. There's some of that, right? But so I think it's first off, the story needs to change a lot, right? I think the floor needs to go through some kind of change every 30 days or every 60 days, yep. so that because here's the other thing, right? And I know we're going to touch on this more, but right now we're in this sort of weird moment in history, right? Where we're in this weird moment in history where like no one's sure economically what's going to go on.
Yeah.
Now let me say this about that. I was when I started Retail Smart Guys, it was 2007. Okay, so I jump in. I'm going to do my own thing. Start Retail Smart Guys, blah blah blah. And then about 60 days later, Saks went 75% off, and the recession was declared. And I thought, okay, I'll be homeless in a week, 10 days, that kind of thing. I thought it could be over. Right. And so, but what I discovered was that in uncertain economic times, the customer wants to be told what to buy, right? And that not in a draconian, awful way, but just sort of this is what we believe in, like we've been talking about, but also needs that retail therapy, needs that joyful experience that's there, right? And so they also need a respite from the bad news that's out there.
Yeah.
Right. So they want a place where they can go, and the store needs to be a ray of sunshine amongst all the noise. And Lord knows, no matter where you sit on the political spectrum, there's a lot of noise right now.
Yep.
Right. So no matter what, people need a place to be safe from all of that. Right. They need a place to just really not have to experience the nightmare of all of that craziness and all the noise and all the horror and that kind of thing. Right. So the more that we can create that now, the better.
We talking about a safe space, but this 2024, everyone has said, most retailers I've spoken to said it was the toughest year they had. My philosophy was everyone's still been comparing numbers to COVID times when it was like funny money. Have you seen that? And then we're going to get into really what we're going to talk about. But have you seen the challenge of just 2024 being a rougher year than previous?
I would say this about 2024. It was a rough year for anybody who did not, who wasn't, I found that the people that did better in 2024 were clever about how they were promotional. And by that, I mean, I'm never a fan of the whole store is 35 off or something like that, right? I'm more a fan of things like, we're taking this particular section of the store and putting it on sale, right? I tell the story a lot, but let me share it with your podcast listeners. I had a men's store, and he knew he wanted to take 30% off the pants. He had too many pants. He wanted to take a markdown on pants. And he could have just done pants for 30% off. Instead, what he did was, if you buy 2 tops, you got 30% off the pants. Now, why did that work? It worked because people were already buying tops, so they bought an extra one to get a discount on pants. They bought outfits, which was a better thing. And he paid for the pant markdown by getting more full-price sales out of his tops.
Interesting.
Right? I love that strategy because I'm always trying to figure out, if you're going to take a markdown, what can we upsell to pay for the markdown?
Yeah.
So the people that were clever about promotions in 2024 like that did not have a bad year.
Okay.
But they had a decent year. The people that understood that inventory is neither wine nor cheese and doesn't get better with age, and got out of bad inventory and continued to sell new inventory and continued to create excitement and interest on the floor by doing those things, those guys had a good year. The people who just went, well, it's a rough year and I'm going to have to try to find my way through it, they had a really bad year.
So being complacent and just like hoping what you have there, no matter how old it is going to sell.
Our job as retailers is to manage change. what's happening now, what's new now, what's different now, and how can I engage and entice my retailers to see something new and exciting and fun is happening at the store instead of them thinking it's the same old all the time.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to stop you there. When we chatted, I was driving to Las Vegas for our setup, and I was listening to something else, and it dawned on me because of what's coming up is to contact you. And I reached out and I said, is it okay if we talk about this, the tariffs? And I think that every retailer understands that tariffs are coming. What I think is the big question is, because even at the gift show, this one that just happened, those prices are not built in yet. No one still knows. And because majority of what we purchase in the gift industry, at least, as well as apparel, most of it is, out of China. A lot of production for apparel is done in Mexico. There's still goods that are I just talked to somebody else. It's like, also what people don't understand is like, if you are sewing this sweater here in the US, but the fabric comes from Mexico, the fabric is what's getting tariffed. And then, it's produced in California, so it's not going to get another tariff. But and what you had said is what I didn't even think about is that, yes, fine, there's all these tariffs. It's not fine, but the system is not set up for production for it to switch over to this the fabric being manufactured in the States. Like cotton used to be a huge I think where was cotton all produced? And it's not produced anymore. Is it Midwest?
No, it was more in the South, I think. But
South.
although there was production in the Midwest too, but it was, I think, predominantly in the South. I think that the issue on the tariff thing is that there's still lots of unknowns. There are those that will tell you that the tariffs are just a bargaining chip, and that they're eventually going to, we're eventually going to make peace with everybody. It's going to go away. I don't know if anybody really believes that Canada will become the 51st state, as an example. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of things that are just bouncing around, and we've almost gotten to a place where just stuff just gets said to be said. I think that, and we're starting to see now where some of our retailers are telling us that, that vendors are saying we're seeing price increases because of the tariffs. I'm starting literally just in the last couple of weeks. I've heard that a few times, or they project it, but they're not totally sure. I think as a retailer, it's important to stay in touch with your vendors and say, and I would just ask them straight out, what are you doing about tariffs? Right. Some of these guys are buying inventory well in advance because the tariffs aren't in place yet. So if we can land some goods before all that happens, then we avoid that. So, as retailers, we can also encourage the vendors to say, listen, you guys should be, you should be stocking up now so that we all avoid this price increase. I think also, and there's still a bit ties back to what we were talking about before, but let's just assume we're going to see some price increases in the next 6 months, because I think we will. And if that happens, what we're already starting to see some erosion of now is we're starting to see that on the sales floor, units per transaction are dropping a little bit. Okay, I'm just buying. I came to buy that one sweater. I'm buying that one sweater, and that's it. And put the blinders on, and don't show me anything else. That kind of thing. There's some of that happening right now. The answer to that is better display, again, which is something that you are a genius at, but better display that shows complementary products and shows what goes with what and what should be with what, so that people are thinking not just a sweater, but the concept of all of that stuff that goes together. And we have to, and as salespeople, their job is to, I'm going to steal from Harry Friedman here for a moment, but he says in his book, No Thanks, I'm Just Looking. He says, you show till they say no, no, no. And that means that we have to continue to make sure that people see stuff. Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Right? Because although prices are going to go up at retail, which they are, the other thing that will, happen is we'll start to see that people, because of what happens in the economy, now we're not going on the vacation we thought we were going to go on. Now we're not remodeling our house, but I am going to buy stuff at retail because I need this for me.
Yeah.
Right. I saw that in the recession.
Yeah. So did I. Right. I think though, a lot of I think a lot of retailers, okay, let me back up. There are some manufacturers that have already sent out letters that said, we are going to absorb the tariffs as long as we can. So they are going to pay for the tariffs. But there's other manufacturers that are small that can't afford to do that. So you purchase something and now I don't even know what the increase is. There are some retailers that I've heard say, we're going to also try and not have those tariffs included in our end of cost of goods. You can't do that. That is unless you are making money hand over fist and you can afford to lose that. But that is the same thing as when I tell people you have to at least be at a 2.2 at the most minimum, 2.5. So you are covering your shipping. Because I think a lot of people I talk to people that are doing Keystone, which is 2.0. And who is paying for who's paying for the freight? So this is going to be now on top of you needing to do 2.2. Now you're going to have to think about that tariff and you're going to have to price it into your goods.
Right. Here's the thing, and I'll give my contact information afterwards, but there is a formula by which you can actually plan what your markup needs to be. And it's based on several things. It's based on what your markdown percentage typically is. It's based on what you want the net profit of the business to be. It's based on shrinkage. It's based on operating expenses, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of things that are in there that we can help people figure out what their markup needs to be to survive. That's an average markup, though, so it doesn't mean that you can't find some what they call lost leaders, right, where you can sort of have that out there that draws people in. But then our sales team needs to know they're going to come in for X. We got to sell them Y and Z that goes with X so that my overall maintained markup is protected, right? So, the markups are coming. The tariffs are coming, I think. I don't know, but I think we're going to see some increased prices before we see any decreases in prices. And I think what we're going to have to do is merchandise better, market better, sell better, and make sure that, everybody understand, make sure that everybody understands what they have to sell and how they're going to strategically do that. But again, I wouldn't be afraid of the larger prices. I'd be more thinking about how am I going to sell around that? What am I going to do to make the store desirable?
More add-on sales.
And I think too, also, I think also, we have to be that ray of sunshine while all this happens. So, just briefly, if I can talk for a second about marketing. It comes down to this. The number one driver of sales at retail still to this day is email marketing. And people spend a lot of time on the social media stuff, and I get it, and I know why, and I'm not that I'm opposed to social media. I'm certainly not, right? But I definitely am seeing that the more that people email, the better, and not just like a big newsletter kind of thing where it's like, that was the initial email thing where people just did like article after article after article in an email. We unfortunately have a very short attention span now. And if you get an email from someone that's 3 paragraphs, it's like, oh my God, that's like a project. I'm going to have to read that later. Right? So if the emails need to be short. They need to be quick. They need to be short. They need to create demand. I also, by the way, I have a 2-word definition of marketing, which is creating demand. Right? We've all been to those marketing seminars where some dude gets up and goes, marketing is the stimulus of the hypothalamus where the thing's like, okay, no, it's not any of that. Okay. It's just simply this. It's how do I create demand? Okay. And so any email you send out, even any social media post you do, does it make someone go, I want that, or I want to find out more about that? Right. So email marketing, number 1, and in-store events is number 2. So we need to sort of create a calendar now of fun things that people want to do. In a recent survey of, there's millennials, then there was Generation Z, right? Now we're Generation A. I think we're going through the alphabet all over again. But all that to say, surveys of all those 3 groups have said the same thing, which is that I want to look online, but I want an in-store experience.
Yeah.
So we have to give them an in-store experience. We have to give them something that's fun to go to celebrate, to be with other people, to have a non-AI experience. Don't get me wrong, I like AI and we use AI, but AI has its limitations, and when you've gotten an email that's from AI, right? You can sense it when a message has been sent to you has been created by AI. People know that too, and they're sort of becoming like, oh, that's what that is. That wasn't really a genuine message. I think AI is good for helping you, get your creative juices going, but it still has to come from you, genuinely you. But people want in-store experiences, so we have to create that for them by merchandising well, having inventory that changes all the time, and getting the message out through email and in-store events.
I think one thing to touch on, another reason why email is so important is because email is the one thing that can't be taken away from you. Social media, Instagram, Facebook can all shut your account down. And when they do, there goes all of your contacts. Because I think a lot of us in social media, myself included, everything and so much of conversation is going back and forth on DMs. Like I don't have their email, and if you are building an email list and you are sending out emails and you are utilizing it, you have less of a chance of, possibly Instagram getting shut down or your Facebook getting shut down and you being closed out from all these accounts. And that's the one thing the email people always say is that no one can take it away from you. You will have
1 in 3 people that I've talked to have had their social media account compromised.
And it's helpless. I mean, I wasn't it. It was somebody we both know that had their Instagram account, frozen, or they
got hijacked, and then they couldn't get it back. And unfortunately, today all the guys that run the social media platforms are really not so helpful in terms of reclaiming that.
You can't, I mean, they finally got it back. I don't know how, and I don't know how many emails they went through, but I mean, my personal Facebook account was hijacked 6 or 7 years ago, and I never got it back. And whether it was a bot or whatever, but that can happen to your business. So, and
I don't think they really got it. It was what I'm thinking of. They just had to recreate. They got the name back, but they didn't get all the content back. They have to recreate everything. So I have to re-get their followers and stuff like that. It's a very hard thing to do. And really, there aren't a lot of people that tell me that they're doing most of, or that creates there's not a direct creation to sales in that. I still look, don't get me wrong, it's super important to do, and you have to do it, and it's part of putting a face on the store. But I can tell you there's a much more direct relationship between email and in-store events and sales than social media. I think social media is sort of undercurrent, and then people get to know who you are, and they come in and they want to know who you are and that kind of thing. But it's much more, you get much better results and much faster results through email and in-store events.
So tell everyone how to get a hold of you, but also tell everyone what it looks like to work with yourself or someone else within.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay. We like to say that we are a high-tech, high-touch organization. We have great technology that runs what we do, that establishes who we are, and gives us really great data. Okay. But the high-touch part is we don't just send you a report and say, good luck, I hope you make it. Right. Our job is to really be shoulder to shoulder with you and walk through what do these numbers really mean. Right. And how do I take those numbers and convert that to a story that I can use to come up with a strategy for my business to grow it. Okay. Our job is to either get you to sell more and at the same time turn your inventory faster so that we get more cash out of the business. Okay. There's a famous quote from a guy. He was the CEO of Google for a number of years, and he said that revenue solves all known business problems. Right. And that's true. My CPA said it to me though in the 90s. So I'm I have to call it what it is. But it is true, right? That revenue solves all problems, right? So if you're sitting there going, I don't have enough cash. I'd like to hire more people. I'd like to redo the store. I'd like to change my point of sale. I'd like to upgrade my website. I'd like to do more marketing. I'd like to expand. I'd like to go on, like I said, go on a better vacation or pay for my kids' college or whatever all the things are that you want to do. The answer to all of that is to make sure that you can afford it, and affording it comes from an actual open to buy plan that helps you plan your sales and plan your inventory so that cash makes its way to the bottom line. And we take a very holistic approach to the business. So as an example, in a meeting I had actually last week with someone, although we were going to start talking about their inventory and their sales, what we learned was that, there were some issues in the where they were, physically where they were. There were stores around them that were going out of business, and so the traffic was down, and they had to do something about that. So we spent more time talking about, well, how are we going to market our way through that? What are we going to do about all that? And what do we do with our inventory to drive more revenue so that we can do more marketing to get us through that, right? So it's not just a simplistic, here's a sales forecast and here's an inventory plan. It's also how do I convert that into an action plan for the retailer so that they can actually, do what they do, which they already love to do, and actually make some money at it and have fun at the same time.
So you also do store visits, which you're out of store right now.
So right now we'll do store visits. We do obviously the whole world is Zoom oriented, so we do plenty of Zoom stuff too. But I'm at a store. I'm at a pet store right now. So you're holding your pet right there.
What does an in-store visit look like?
Oh gosh, there's lots of different ways we do it. I have done some where we secret shop. We do sales workshops with the people. I'm going to do a sales workshop with these guys today. We do sometimes we do marketing overhauls. Let's look at your whole marketing thing and decide what's going to make the most sense. Sometimes it's let me look at this store, and then sometimes, as you know, I'll call you and say, oh my God, these people need to understand what merchandise looks like. You need to help us get in here and redo their fixturing and make it look pretty and stuff like that. So that's important too.
Secret shopping. I just want to touch on this for a second because it's the scariest thing on earth to me. And I will tell this one story. I had closed my stores at Fred Siegel already. I was kind of dipping my toe and doing other things. And I think I got a chance to walk into a position of a district manager it was like a baby outlet store brand. And I went out with the current district manager in it was supposed to have been store visits. And we went into one of their stores in Gilroy and we walked in, and all of a sudden it was a secret shopping moment where she stole something and then she walked out with the item and then walked back in and then introduced herself. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm your district manager. I just want to let you know I just stole this. And it was like the most awkward, scary thing I've ever been through. And then P.S., then she fired her on the spot, and then she stuck me. Now you're going to have to run the store and hire a new manager. I'm like, what? But secret shopping, though, I will say, when you don't do it like that, is a really good tool to be able to find out what is your team doing when you are not at the store.
Here's the thing. Many people on your floor probably think that people don't want to be bothered, right? It's why, that we're all conditioned to say, no, thanks, I'm just looking, even if I need help. The reality is, if I didn't really need the help, or if I didn't want to talk to somebody, I'd buy online, right? But if I come to a store, like I have a men's store in Florida, and I said to him one day, I said, why do people come to you? He said, because a man comes into my store and he knows that he's not going to walk out looking like a sack of potatoes, right? I'm going to make sure that what he puts on fits properly, that it's the right style for him, that he's not wearing the wrong things, and et cetera, right? If I come into a gift shop and I'm trying to figure out the right gift for whoever, a relative, a friend, a coworker, that kind of stuff, there's someone in there with some expertise and some knowledge who can say to me, this is what this thing is good for, this is who the right person is for it, this is why it's great, and et cetera, et cetera. Or like right now today, I'm in a pet shop, right? So, there's so many opportunities here. Like, my dog is having a dental problem. My dog is having a coat problem, right? I've discovered in working with pet stores that, most people do not know if their pet has allergies. There are certain warning signs, like if the pet's licking their paws a lot all the time, okay, it's very possible they're having an allergy, right? If you don't know that, you might just think, oh, isn't that cute? They're being clean. Maybe not. Maybe there's something going on there, right? So if these guys on the floor of this pet store identify that and say, your dog's licking their paws a lot, there might be an allergy thing here, you might try this food to do that, and you solve that problem for them, you're their friend for forever. Especially in the pet industry, the standard joke in the pet industry is most people who have pets find that the pet is the person that's liked the most in that house, more than maybe other people. And that's often, I had to say it, but it is an often true thing, right? Because it's the unconditional love that you can't resist. So if that very popular being is being helped by what that person does in the store, they can be there for forever. So, I mean, it's an important thing.
So when you come in and do secret shops, are you looking for that person to help you?
Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who can really properly engage with someone who will actually, who will talk to me as if they've known me since high school. I used to say known me for 10 years, but now there are people that are younger that are working in stores that I can't say that anymore. So what I say is they've known me since high school. Okay. And treat me, instead of it being like Mr. Customer, I want it to be like, instead of it being salesperson versus customer, I want it to be friends shopping together. Right. So can they create that relationship? Can they actually engage with people? Can they ask good questions? I've had people I'll tell you this one funny thing. I've done this one where someone walks into a store and they're on their phone, and so like they're on their phone talking, and I always go like, say hi for me. Right. That's my thing. So now that's because I'm a jokey. I'd like to tell jokes and do that kind of thing. But it has to be within their own personality, right? The main thing is simply this, though. They have to engage. They have to make people feel like that they're home, that they're with friends, that with people that it's going to be fun to be there, right? In certain industries, like I'm in Los Angeles, so there's a lot of surf and skate shops that we work with, right? Well, and a lot of that merchandise is the same from store to store to store. There aren't that many brands in there, or there are some that are very popular brands. And so, with those, it's who's in the store that makes the difference.
Yeah.
And what my relationship is with the person that's in the store. So I wanted someone who can engage and who can honestly talk to me about the merchandise and what my needs are, and make sure they talk to me not just as another number, but as an actual real person.
I love that that's part of what you do as the service. I think it's true. It's not just here's your report and see you later, bye.
And there's one more thing I want to just throw at this really quickly, and then we can. I know we're probably getting late, but let me just throw one other thing. We also have put together a crew of people who will take almost the entire administrative layer of work that a retailer has to do and take it off their plate so that they can actually manage their sales, their customers, and their inventory, right? If I'm a store owner and I'm in the back room and I'm typing in purchase orders all day, and I'm not out there seeing what's happening with it, or I'm not looking at the data, look at what's selling, what's not selling, or running vendor scorecards to figure out which vendors are profitable or that kind of stuff, I'm spending time on the wrong thing. So we have a crew of people that do administrative things that stores don't like to do typically or don't want to do. Entering purchase orders, bookkeeping, repetitive social media posting, or things like that. Things that are very admin-based that people don't need to do, we do that for them so that they can put their attention on the things that are going to drive profitability. And frankly, right now, with tariffs coming and with prices coming higher, this is the moment to really be paying very, very strong attention to your business. And this is the moment to make sure you're looking at the right numbers.
I always love talking to you.
I love talking to you. You and I could do this every day as far as I'm concerned.
Right? We should have our own show, I think.
We should have our own show for sure.
Honestly, we really should. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Okay. So my email is dan@retailsmartguys with an S at the end.com. My cell phone is 818-720-2585.
Oh.
I always say this about my email, so I'll just tell you this. I don't go to bed at night unless my inbox is empty.
What?
That's true.
How do you do
I don't go to sleep at night. Well, because I figure people are running to me, it's not because they want a new chocolate chip cookie recipe, right? They're running to me because something's going on and they want some help. And so either I'm going to answer that question or I'm going to schedule a call with them. But I want to make sure that every time one of the hallmarks of Retail Smart Guys, one of the things that was very important to us was that we are in regular, constant, fast communication. Someone writes to us, you're going to get a response that day or next day latest. You're not going to wait a long time to hear back from us because people have questions about their business and we want to be available and a resource to them. So one of the hallmarks of what we do is very fast response and very fast response coupled with really years and years of industry knowledge to make sure they know what they're doing. So Dan at retailsmartguys with an S at the end.com or 818-720-2585 and we'll help you every way we can.
Thank you so much. As always, I love chatting with you. I think that you bring so much value to everybody here. And honestly, like if if you have a chance to just get on the phone with Dan, like talk to him, like I really think that it is worth the phone call and worth the investigation and working with you.
Well, thank you so much, and it's always an honor for me to be on your podcast, and your podcast just continues to grow in popularity because you continue to provide amazing content and amazing things that independent retailers need to hear about. So I have great respect for what you do, and I love what you do, and I'm always happy to bring you with me to clients when they need help on the display and merchandise side because your eye is no one can train what you already know how to do.
Oh, thanks so much. Make me turn red.